All right, we're good to go. Please welcome Julius Su, creator of the Skies mobile app.
Hi, everyone. So I come to you wearing two hats today. One is I'm a software developer. Me and a friend made an iPad app for collaborative learning in a classroom setting and for beyond. And the second is trying to do an interesting sort of experiment this summer. We're trying to teach community science. That is science relevant to everyday needs of a community, Los Angeles, where I'm from. So in this case, it was a collaboration of a bunch of people. We had a bunch of students at Muir High School. And what happened was they started a garden, growing plants, tomatoes, having a beehive, doing all sorts of things. And they were really excited about this. But after a while, the teachers became concerned. Well, they're having a lot of fun growing things in this garden. They seem engaged. They seem active. But are they learning? Are they learning science? Are they learning math, engineering, the things that are going to score high on tests eventually? What are they getting out of this garden? And so they came to Caltech and an organization called the Caltech Classroom Connection, which for the past 5 years has been putting people from the university in touch with people from high school and other people in the community, just sort of all collaborating. And then they dragged us in and they said, okay, you guys, you say you have this app that can promote collaboration and student engagement. Let's see how well it actually works. And so that's the history of what we're doing. How do I? Okay. And so our app is pretty simple. It looks like a bulletin board. It's like an empty bulletin board, and people can post cards. The cards are attached to each other like a tree. You can have all sorts of cards. You can have informational cards just for lecturing. You can have flashcards that students make to quiz each other. You can have like video cards, web cards, any sort of thing. It's just a big bulletin board that everyone can see and update at the same time. And so we used it as follows. First, me and the other teacher, went ahead and we just gave a lecture. Just a standard PowerPoint style lecture, every card a different slide on whatever topic they were covering. Water quality, soil quality, pest control, plant processing, all things they needed to know in order to grow things in their garden more effectively. Okay, that was the first step, just a regular old-fashioned lecture. Then the second step was interesting. We told the students, okay, enough of us talking, you guys try to teach us. We're going to put these cards down for you to look at. Now you split apart into groups and pretend like you're teaching, and you want to quiz the other students to make sure they learned what's inside our cards. And so at first they were like, I don't get it. Where are the questions you want us to answer? And we're like, no, you guys make the questions. They were like, how do you know the answer? No, you put in the answers too. You're quizzing us. And they were like, oh, okay. And then, so they did this. They sat down. The classroom got really quiet for a while, and then they started making these cards. And then we looked at them. That was the next stage. We looked at the cards. We went through them. They quizzed each other. We made sure everyone understood everything. And then without even waiting a day or a week or a few hours, we jumped straight into a lab activity where they used what they had just learned to do some small, interesting thing. Here you're showing that you can use a lens to focus light and to image objects that are far away. You can measure focal lengths. And so we had them do that sort of thing, measuring the focal lengths of different things, building a camera, building a telescope, using a little microscope that you can attach to the iPad to take pictures. And every result that they have, be it a picture, be it a sound clip, be it some page that they found, or just an algebraic derivation, they went ahead and posted it onto a tree for all the other students to see. And then that was the last part that we looked at. We then went through every result that they had. All the quiz cards they made, we went through. All the results they posted, we went through. All the conclusions they drew, we went through. So for example, we had a lab where we gave them a bunch of lenses and we said, okay, predict, I have an iPad or a remote control here. I have a lens here. Now, if I wanted to build a camera, where should I put the film? Predict where the film goes. And so we divided them into 3 groups. We said, okay, you guys can be theoreticians, one group. Anyone who's good at math is a theoretician. So you guys go ahead and use the algebraic equation to derive where to put the film. Another group is an experimentalists. Anyone who likes to measure things hands-on. Just take a ruler and figure out where the focal distance of this plane is. And so they went ahead and did that. And we said, okay, any one of you who can't really do either, like us, computationalists, you guys are now computationalists. Take a piece of graph paper, actually trace out the rays, and where they cross is where the image goes. All 3 groups got numbers. They posted it onto the tree, And when they saw that they all agreed, they were like, oh, that's kind of cool. The science seems to work. Okay. And so, yeah, the discussion of the results and just being encouraging and bringing this all out was what we did. And finally, we wrapped it up with lab tours. We took them around different labs around Caltech and showed them the lasers and the microscopes and the fruit flies and everything that we could show them, and just got them generally enthusiastic about even things like when you go to grad school, you get paid. You get paid to go to grad school. You get paid to sit around, have fun with lasers and microscopes. You get a stipend for this. And they were like, really? You don't have to go $80,000 in debt to be a grad student? It's like, no, we do get paid enough to eat ramen noodles and live in dormitories to afford for a person, and it's an exciting life. So they got very excited about that. And so okay, so that being said, I'm going to share with you 4 sort of lessons and surprises we got out of this whole experience. The first is that the attention span of the average human, and certainly students, is really short. Okay, we measured this very accurately, because we had an excellent TA. He would go around and all the students liked him, all the students talked to him and chatted him, and they would just tell him whatever was on their mind. And whenever I went above 4 cards of content, they said, why is he talking so much? We want to make cards. Why is he talking so much? The optimal length of that a human can absorb in a lecture is 4 slides. Maybe 3 to 4 slides. Maybe 5 if you're stretching it. I've already gone way beyond. Okay? 4 slides. Okay? The second thing is students really like making quiz cards. Okay? This is funny because teachers are always saying, students aren't engaged, they're not paying attention. How do we learn whether they're learning things? How do we get feedback back from them? And then, when you're lecturing, you're all excited. You're all like, oh, I'm a good teacher. Look, I'm talking, they're learning, everything's good. When they're sitting off with their iPads by themselves making cards, the room gets all quiet. It gets kind of boring. You start worrying, are they doing anything? Are they just playing Angry Birds on these iPads? Are they doing anything? But afterwards, the TA talks to them and they go, and there was a time, when we were rushing, we had to get to the lab. We cut out the card making part and they were like, why didn't we get to make cards? What's going on here? Why do we have to listen to that guy talk? We want to make cards. They really enjoy doing this part. If they don't do this part, they get upset. And this is a great way to figure out whether they understand something or not. Just by seeing the kind of questions you're making, you can see how well you've made the lecture. Immediate feedback from both the student and for the teacher. Okay, third lesson we learned is the more instruments you have, the better. And so this is actually kind of a neat example because it's something called a colorimeter. It measures the color of a solution, red, green, and blue components. It's very simple. You just have an LED that can be red, green, or blue. You shine it through a water sample, water quality, whatever, and you measure how much light comes through. $85, open source hardware. Anyone can go download it, build it. And yet, we only had 1 of these because, it was unfunded. We were paying things out of our own pocket. But we brought 1 of these in, and we had, students, and they were all sharing. They were all going around it. And afterward, the teachers who were observing gave this lab like a 5 out of 5 rating. The teachers all thought it was great. The students gave this a 4 out of 5 rating. It was the lowest rated lab that we had. And the reason was they all had to share 1 colorimeter. After that, we were like, no excuses. Every student gets some sort of instrument to play with. It can be a lens. It could be a little microscope. It could even be, we went into the chemistry labs, okay? Like the teaching labs at Caltech are not being used over the summer by students because students at Caltech do summer research over the summer. They don't do teaching labs. And so first, we had a distillation thing. We were going to go, okay, you're going to extract orange oil from oranges. And we had a little demo. We had a piece of orange peel, and we squeezed it in front of a lighter, and a little spray of flame shot out because there's oil inside orange peels. And they were like, whoa, oranges do that? It's like, yeah, oranges can do that. And so we had an apparatus for them to, boil off the orange oil and distill it and turn it into a little orange-colored liquid they could collect. Well, when I was first setting it up with the TA, I was like, okay, so this is expensive glassware, right? This is like $1,000 worth of glassware here. And like if the students break it, there's going to be trouble. So let's just set up 1 apparatus. They'll all crowd around. They'll all watch it. And then the chemistry lab instructor, I thought, was going to say, yeah, that's reasonable. He was like, you know what? He's like, fuck it. This is Caltech. Every 2 students gets an apparatus. Let's just do it the right way. And so you will not believe it. We went into the lab. We had the apparatus all set up. dripping, and the students were, okay, yeah, so we're going to watch this for an hour, and then you guys are going to get oil, and then we'll sniff it, and then that's going to be the end of the lab. And we go, those are your fume hoods. Go set one up yourselves. And then they were like, what? And we're like, yeah, there's glassware over there. You know how to set it up. Just do it. And they ran off. They ran off, and they set up all these distillation apparatuses, and they did the distillation. They got the orange oil out. And afterward, this is the simplest experiment a chemist can do, right? This is the first thing you learn how to do. It's simple distillation. Afterward, we had 2 of the students come up and go like, how do I be a chemist? I want to be a chemist. Like, this is cool. This is cool stuff. And all it took was giving them glassware for an hour. Okay, you want to get kids interested in STEM, give them instruments, give them teachers. This is how to do it. And finally, we were afraid, are students really going to want to post things on a public bulletin board for everyone to see? I mean, you're used to turning it in. You get the grade back, you fold over the paper, you kind of hide it. Do students really like to be evaluated by the teacher up front? And the answer is yes, students love it. They don't mind. This is like Facebook. Everyone posts everything. Like, it's the era of instant feedback. Students post all the answers. We had them draw linear regression lines. And we went through, yes, that's right. Yeah, okay, no, your line's kind of tilted. No, that's good, that's good. They like it. They like it. As long as the teacher's encouraging. That's the key phrase. Whenever students put quiz cards up, regression lines up, or anything, as long as the teacher picks out the good parts of it, this is gamification. This is the strongest possible score, the strongest possible signal that a student can get back, is having a teacher that connects with them and is encouraging to the work that they have. And that's pretty much it. As long as you have these elements, rapid feedback, encouraging teacher, turnaround, collaboration, community, and teachers and instrumentation, as long as you have all those, easy to get things, it pretty much all works. And here's the last part. We even, we had no idea. We were like, this is very experimental. I don't even want to ask some of these survey questions. But the collaborator from the Caltech Classroom Connection was like, okay, no, we have to do a scientific study. We have to ask them straight out the questions we're afraid to hear the answer to. And one question was just, do you prefer making these cards to just raising your hand in class and asking questions? Like, why do we even need all this technology? And we were going to get buried. There's no way this is better than just asking questions in class. But the students were like, yeah, it was better than speaking. It was better than raising your hand because we're shy. We'd rather sit down, think about it for a minute, and write something out and then have the teacher go through it, than raising our hand, putting ourselves on display and doing all that. And so for them, it actually made the learning feel more personal. The technology did not get in the way. It actually made them feel more connected to what was being presented. And that was that was more than we ever expected. That was cool. Okay, that was neat. And so, yeah, that's pretty much it. We have a lot of people to thank, obviously. People who worked with me on the software, people from the Caltech Classroom Connection, the provost at Caltech, they just have an education fund. We applied to it. They gave us 18 iPads, just like that. It was wonderful. We had a bunch of really good professors and teachers help us, and a bunch of retired teachers and just interested people from your high school who just came in and made cards. And people say, like there's an age limit to using this technology. The teachers who are working with us listed their ages as 38, 45, 65, and older than dirt. Okay, they were making cards, they were adding stuff in. So any age, I think, this is technology that is useful and cool and people can learn from. And that's pretty much what we did.